You're listening to Three Kitchens podcast, hosted by home cooks Erin Walker and Heather Dyer.
Join us as we walk you through our experience with a new recipe, successes and fails. Let's all get inspired, cook better, and eat great food.
Heather,
Ooh,
I feel like I've never made a good pie ever after eating this crust. I was like, this is like the best crust. Seriously.
Welcome to Three Kitchens podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Heather Dyer, and here's Erin Walker.
Hello. I am here.
Hello. We're here, and we're excited. This is our second recording of this day, so we are like in the groove.
And this is the one I get to be all giddy and excited about somebody cooking for me.
I'm cooking. And for this episode, we are doing a traditional Canadian recipe. I feel like, how is it we have not done more Canadian food since we're Canadian and all?
Well, before you get into it, that's kind of an interesting question, this Canadian food thing, because we have such a diverse multicultural immigrant history, and then there's Indigenous food and culture. But this should be my answer to anyone who asks me traditional Canadian food, because this one tops my list, I think.
Tops it because you like it the most, or tops it because it feels the most sort of authentically Canadian or something?
It feels super Canadian because it definitely is in my family and my family history going back. So I think I relate to it as a Canadian food, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
Me too. It is definitely something I grew up eating, and I have a recipe that my mom handed to me. But it is originally, I mean, you can tell by the, have I even said what I'm making or no? Oh my God, it's so ridiculous. So we're how many minutes in? Sorry, everyone. We're making a tourtière. And what I was going to say is, it's interesting that it is part of probably every Canadian across the country's sort of tradition, because it's a French Canadian dish.
Yeah.
And for those listening who maybe don't know us, we are not French. Erin nor I are French Canadian. But we love this dish, and probably many Canadians across the country also love a tourtière.
Yeah. My mother's family grew up in Quebec. And so maybe that's why it adopted into my line of cooking. But they are from Germany. But they had family that lived in Quebec when they immigrated in the 50s. And so they adopted some of the cooking from probably the family that was already here.
Okay, I got it.
What's your family tree look like, Heather?
Let's not go down that. I'm not even familiar enough in great detail to really get into that. But anyway.
You haven't hit the age of family tree history.
I would have to take it on myself, and I'm not that old yet.
Oh, okay.
I think you need to be maybe in another decade or so.
Okay.
When I'm retired and have nothing better to do. Okay. So the tourtière has a long history. Well, when I say long, Canada itself as a country, it does not really have a long history. So it's all relative to Canadian history, but it was thought to have originated sometime around the 1600s in obviously Eastern Canada. For those who aren't familiar, the French language immigrants typically settled in the East. That's where people came from first, from France. Mm-hmm. And in both Quebec, in what is now Quebec and the Maritime provinces. And it was recipes for a tourtière were first printed in a cookbook called La Cuisinière Canadienne, which was published in 1840. And it is thought to be the first French language cookbook published in Canada. So really, that's what I mean by it's all relative, because 1840 in the history of the world, it's not that long ago, really. But anyway, okay, so it is a meat pie, and many cultures around the world have their versions of meat pie. The French Canadian meat pie typically has pork and then often mixed with something else. In the past, you would have found pheasant, rabbit, or moose. Probably there are still people who make it with game meat.
Very interesting. Okay.
Or a mix of pork and beef, which was how I have always known it. You mix pork and beef together. It could be minced, which from what I can tell is a more Quebecois style, minced or ground meat, or cubed meat, which is more Acadian, which is a maritime French language
Yes.
group of people. Theirs is more traditionally cubed meat and vegetables. So the texture of it varies somewhat. What typically is relatively common across the board are the spices that go into it. And this is how I think what sort of sets a tourtière apart from other meat pies. And those are usually nutmeg, cinnamon, clove, and allspice. Those are your kind of your standard spices that go into this. So you're cooking your meat in these delicious warm spices. Then you're putting it into a pie, and it's a double crust pie. So there's a crust on the bottom and a crust on the top. And traditionally, it would have been a lard pastry because butter and oil would have been much more expensive.
Yeah.
Of course, nowadays, probably people make their pastry however they like to make their pastry.
I feel like the pastry has to be greasy and flaky in a tourtière. Like, to me, that's part of the hallmarks of it. It's got to be flaky, and it's got to be, there's got to be a good amount of butter or lard or whatever you're going to use in there. It has to be a little bit extra.
Okay.
That's one of my thoughts when it comes to the tourtière.
Yeah. Typically this is served or has been served traditionally in Quebec as part of the Christmas celebration. The Réveillon is a feast after midnight mass for French Canadian Catholics. And that's when they would traditionally have prepared and eaten tourtière. I have always eaten it as a Christmas thing too, although I've been known to make it at other times of the year just because I love it and I want to eat it.
Of course.
But growing up, that's when we had it. It was on the plate, a slice of tourtière with the turkey and the potatoes, whatever vegetable, and gravy over everything. That's how I like it. I don't know about you.
Oh, that sounds great.
Honestly, I didn't read anywhere where it said to serve gravy over it. So maybe that was my family just because, we were eating it with turkey and you want to put gravy over everything.
Well, yeah.
I think it's maybe more common to have like a chow chow, like a tomato salsa type, it's called chow chow, or almost like a thick tomato relish, or even apparently ketchup. I can't imagine putting ketchup. Oh, do you? I'm like, I don't put ketchup on a lot of things, so I'm not that person, but that's how you like it?
I was known to eat it with ketchup. Yes, I did enjoy it with ketchup.
That's fine. You don't need to. She's like, oh no.
Oh no, the judgment.
No, it's not judgment.
The Quebecois are going to come at me, Heather.
No, you know what? That probably is a Quebecois thing to eat it with ketchup. And I'm just like, what? I put gravy on it. I love it. I like it with gravy. But you know what? Eat your meat pie however you like. Just, you're going to love this meat pie because it's so good. And the spices are so Christmassy to me. They just say midwinter, cozy, warm meat pie.
They just make everything on your tongue happy. Is this just happy mouth season?
And it's not like overly seasoned. It's a very sort of mild seasoned, like you taste those things, but it's not a smack you in the face kind of flavor. Yeah.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to eating something somebody's cooked, but also family cooking because it comes from your mom. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll follow exactly the recipe from my mom, but they are.
Don't worry, I don't expect you to.
The ones that I've seen are all very similar, I have to say. The difference I've been reading is whether you use mashed potato or grated potato. And that obviously would change the texture of the finished pie. I've always made it with grated potato.
Okay.
But I've been reading recipes with mashed potato, which I think would also be good because it would be a different texture to it.
I feel like that crosses the line into shepherd's pie too closely.
But it's mixed with the meat, not sitting on top of the meat.
I know.
I've never had it with mashed potato that I know of. Maybe I've eaten it and not realized it was.
Yeah.
I don't think, but my sister-in-law makes it. Her mom, who is French Canadian with the heavy accent and all, comes at Christmas time and makes delicious tourtière. And you know what, I'd probably gobble it up so fast that I don't pay attention if it was mashed or grated potato. I'm just so happy that someone made it and I get to eat it.
Yes.
And that's it. Stay tuned for second half where we enjoy ourselves. Tourtière Canadienne.
There we go.
And I continue to butcher my French pronunciations.
Have you noticed how I haven't said anything French? It's not a mistake. Hey listener, have you visited our website? You'll find our entire catalog of episodes. Can you believe there are more than 170 of them, including the Speakeasy Cocktail Series and almost all of our recipes?
It's easy to find. Just type in www.threekitchenspodcast.com or check the show notes for a link. Now let's get back to the show. Okay, let's talk about making tourtière.
And then can we talk about eating it too?
I was going to say, because we really want to talk about eating it, I think.
Yes, indeed.
All right. So it's a little bit tricky, not the recipe, but the fact that I sort of took two recipes and combined them, which for anybody at home who has a tendency to do that, or who's taken a recipe and like kind of modified it as they went, at the end of it, you go, what did I do? What did I do exactly? I'm going to try my best to explain. But I do want everybody to know that you can play with it a little bit. The key thing for me, personally, is the spice. And I think you probably would agree that that's what makes it a tourtière meat pie, as opposed to other meat pies. That's what kind of sets it apart. All right. I probably should start with the crust because you make it ahead.
Okay.
Let's just do that.
Okay, let's start with the crust.
All right. So for a pie crust, let's just quickly go through because I think most people probably have a pie crust they like to make. The thing with this, now I remember you mentioning in the first half that you thought it needed the fat. Like however you make it, it needs to be a good, flaky, fatty crust. So I used lard in this crust instead of butter.
I would say even if you have a favorite pie crust recipe, you're gonna want this pie crust recipe. Oh, Heather, I feel like I've never made a good pie ever after eating this crust. I was like, this is like the best crust. Seriously, everyone was like, how come you don't make your crust like this, Mom? Your pies would be so good if your crust was like this. I was like, I know, I've never made a good crust.
Because you make great pie crust, so maybe it's the lard.
This was amazing.
Okay, 4 cups of flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a pound of chilled shortening or lard. I used straight up lard. 2 cups of ice water. So what you're going to do there is mix this all together. So you're going to mix your dry ingredients in a bowl, blend the shortening in with a pastry blender or your hands, if that's the way you prefer to do it, until you get pea-sized lumps. This is pretty basic pie pastry making process. Put a little well in the center, put 2 cups, 250 mils of ice water into the middle of that, and you're just going to mix it until it comes together as a dough. So you can use a spoon to kind of get it going, mix it together. And then kind of just form that into a ball or a mound of dough and let it rest in the bowl in the fridge covered for at least 10 minutes or up to 24 hours. So this is why I said we should probably do this first. So you just kind of forming it together into a dough, covering it up, putting it in the fridge. Until you're ready to use it.
And baking powder in it. Huh.
Is that unusual? I don't know.
My crust doesn't have baking powder in it. So interesting. I'm paying very close attention here, Heather.
Now I'm using this is the pie recipe from Eat Alberta First. And this is the crust recipe from that book, from the Tourtière. And she uses shortening. I did the lard. I don't know the difference, if there's a difference. I know you can get vegetable shortening versus like lard. Isn't lard? I don't even know.
Shortening the vegetable, lard is the animal?
That's what I thought. Yeah, I used the one that says pure lard. It's the tender flake one, if anybody cares to follow along with me. Okay, so for the filling, this is where I kind of combined the recipe from that book with the recipe that my mom passed down to me. And this is where I came out. Okay, a pound of pork, a pound of beef. I'm making 2 pies here. Okay.
Okay, just to clarify, the crust recipe, was that for 2 crusts or was that just?
Yes, it's for it's for 2 pies.
It's for 2 pies, 2 bottoms,
yes,
2 tops.
2 bottoms, 2 tops. Oh my God. See, I told you it would get confused.
No, that's okay. Heather went and baked me my very own pie.
Yeah. I didn't want to do one pie and then split it between us. So I baked 2 full pies. And so that's where I get a little confused. But yes, this pie crust recipe is for 4 circles to make 2 full pies.
2 full pies.
The filling is going to be for 2 full pies. That'll just keep it simple. If you're making 1 pie, don't bother. Make 2 pies.
You're not making 1 pie of this.
No. Make 2. Put 1 in the freezer for later. And then you can thank me that you went to the trouble, because you'll want it again later. All right. Pound of pork, pound of beef, a medium onion, finely chopped, and 4 cloves of garlic minced. We're going to brown that in the pan. Drain off the fat, or most of it, and then add in, now you're going to season it. So you're going to add in about 3/4 cup of water, half a teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon each of cloves, nutmeg, and the summer savoury.
Oh, yes.
I did buy that one. And this was a new edition that came from the book. Okay, and salt. I would say probably the half a teaspoon salt. Okay, get that all kind of mixed so that the seasoning is, you can smell it, it's coming together a little bit, and then add in 2 medium potatoes, peeled and grated. And I threw in a medium carrot, which I also grated because I had 1 lone carrot sitting in the fridge, and I was like, I'm going to toss that one in there. And actually, the way my mom made it, she also put celery into her, but I didn't in this case. I did carrot and potato. You're going to let that simmer, and so that all the flavors combine, and then just taste. I mean, you're not going to taste the kind of undercooked potato, but taste the meat, and then adjust your seasoning if you need to. You're not going for strong flavors. You're going for a nice blend of those like warm spices that are in there. I like a little heavy on the cinnamon and the nutmeg. I feel like those are the ones that should really come through. But again, make it the way you like it. Okay, then turn off the heat, set that aside to cool a little bit while you get your pie crusts ready and in your pie plates. It's because you're making 4 rounds, you're going to want your dough into 4 pieces. And it's a little bit crumbly, it's a little bit, because you've kind of just formed it together. So now you're going to take it out on a floured surface and work it a little bit so that you can roll it out. But you don't want to work it too much. Anytime you've got fat in your dough, you don't want to be completely smushing it all. Like you want to keep that a bit cold and just roll it out.
You want it to be like layered in there. You don't want that butter totally evenly mixed in. You want it to look like a bit of a crumbly mess. Like, is this going to be a pie? And then it does turn into a pie. Kind of, it's always that feeling of like, am I on the right path here?
Yeah. It's not like a cookie dough or something that's nice and smooth and even and mixed. It's a bit crumbly. It's a bit lumpy. You can see the lumps of the lard in there. You want to roll it out until it will fit your pie plate. It's going to go in the bottom. Then you're going to do a second one and have it ready to go. What I did was I did both pie plates. I put the bottom crusts in, and then I put my filling, divided it into the 2 pies, and then I rolled out 2 top pieces and put those on top. Crimp it if you can. I used a fork kind of around the edge and kind of pinched it where I needed to. It's not perfect. You're not, well, maybe yours will be. Mine was not. And I don't think it needs to be. It's like, get it on there. Don't overwork it. Don't handle it too much with your fingers. Vent it. Put a few little slits in the top with a knife to vent the pie. And I took a cookie cutter, a maple leaf cookie cutter with a little bit of scraps of pastry, and I put a maple leaf on the top of each one, and then beat an egg, mix a little dollop of milk into it, and do an egg wash over both pies. They go in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 45 minutes until they're nice and golden brown on the top. And that's your tourtière. I hope I didn't miss anything because it's so good. You did. It's so good.
This is just such a wonderful, wonderful meal. Like it has all the warm, cozy comfort. I really, really enjoyed this so much. And the crust was perfect with this. Like it had the flaky,
crispy,
yeah, like all that stuff. And I feel like, especially, like I get when we make a sweet pie, how often we're very, pretty and lattice, and you want to make it look. I feel like anything that's savory for a pie, the more haphazardly rustic it looks, the better I like that for that type of pie. Like if I'm making a chicken pot pie, it's almost like I want it to be ugly.
The filling is a little drier than some meat pies you might be familiar with. You can actually cut a slice out of it, and it's not.
It doesn't just like
oozing out on your plate or
tumble.
Yeah, which I think is why I actually like gravy with it, because I like that a bit of like moisture of gravy over it. However, I did kind of a little bit after the fact, because I was not organized initially, I did make the green tomato chow chow that was recommended in the Eat Alberta First book to serve with this. So let me run through that real quick. This recipe is to can a large number of jars of this stuff. I just made like 2 cups of it. So I reduced the amount of ingredients, which I will put into the recipe on the blog. For now, I'll just tell you that you're slicing up green tomatoes and onions. You're sweating them out with pickling salt for a little bit.
Okay.
At least 2 hours, but preferably overnight, which is where I went, oh, shoot. I did not plan ahead. Then you're going to add in brown sugar and white vinegar to cover everything up in a pot. And it says here, a package of pickling mix tied in cheesecloth. I don't know what pickling mix is, so I Googled it and I basically made my own. Again, check the recipe for that. Tied it up in a little cheesecloth, and you put that bundle into the pot with it, and you simmer it down for, it says at least 2 hours, but you want it to be nice and like thick and caramelized and gooey, like a relish or a chutney kind of like.
Yep.
And that's it. So it's very it's almost like a pickle. If you're the person who likes that acidic pickle on your plate,
it's like relish.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. I didn't have any tourtière left for it to go with. Did you?
No, I did not either. But I did enjoy this little chow chow.
Yeah. I think it's a good little thing for the side.
Yeah.
That the tourtière, like the kids will put like a ketchup on it or what have you.
Nope, you don't even need that.
This had all the right balance of flavors. And I really liked the potato grated in there, because I know we talked about like the mashed potato versus the grated potato. I thought that worked really good.
I like it too, although I've never made it with mashed. So maybe next time I'll have to try it out and then I can actually compare. But I've always had it, as far as I know, at least when I've made it, I've always made it with grated potatoes. So I don't know quite how the texture might change.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure it still tastes very much the same, just a different texture.
This is easier too rather than
Oh,
having
yeah.
to make mashed potatoes, like just grating the potatoes in there.
Yeah. I mean, if you happen to have leftover mashed potatoes
Ah,
and you're making tourtière, maybe it's like your
there we go.
Boxing Day meal and you've got some mash from the day before.
Mm.
Maybe you could do it like that. I don't know. But anyways, you decide. Choose your own adventure with your potato and your tourtière. Just don't skip the seasoning because that's the important bit.
Yeah, I liked the balance in here for the spices. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
Loved that. Yeah. No, the whole family was just like, they couldn't get over the pie, how beautiful it was. They
Ooh.
loved the little decal that you put on there, how the slits were cut in it and it opened up so beautiful. They were just like
I
beyond
did notice
excited
that
about
the
it.
the crust shrunk a bit, like the bottom crust shrunk a bit in the pan. So even though I had tried to kind of put it up over the edge a bit, it kind of just went in anyway. So that's another reason not to mess too much with how it looks because it's gonna shift a bit as it
Yeah.
bakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, this was delightful, Heather. So good.
I'm so
Such
glad you liked it.
a good French Canadian recipe.
Hmm.
And now for the fine print. Links to recipes and other things we talked about in this episode can be found in the show notes or on our website, www.threekitchenspodcast.com. Come say hello on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and TikTok. We'd love to connect. And if you enjoy the show, pass it on. Word of mouth is the #1 way people learn about new podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.
Getting
An
closer
old
to the
lady thing.
computer.